Hey, this is Jeff. Welcome back to Coito Ergo Sum. Less talk, more action. That doesn't mean I'll be talking any less or skimping on dialogue with NPCs. I just needed a tagline to differentiate between these videos and the first series I did about Coito Ergo Sum, which started with more of a Q&A format and used a low-level courier who was totally optimized for persuasion and had zero combat skills, whereas this is more of a let's play style with a more balanced level 32 character. Plus, there are a lot of Elvis references in New Vegas, so a little less talk, a little more action just felt right. Careful, Debbie. You came pretty close to doing some actual work there. Anyway, last week we were given a flyer for a saloon/brothel. Found the place, started doing some work for the current owner, and now we're going to talk to some unusual squatters in his basement. And I'm not trying to upskirt the handler here. Her bodyguard, the Stag, doesn't wear pants, and I'm trying to avoid having to put a sensor box over his penis.
I'm very busy. What is it?
I'm interested in the person you came here with.
He's gone, and it's unlikely that he'll be back.
Where's he from?
I don't know. We met near the Mississippi. We faced a mutual enemy, and cooperating got us out of a jam. So we decided to travel together.
If he knows a lot about adult entertainment, I want to pick his brain.
He joked about that. He said that people who wanted have to look for it, but he wasn't looking, and it found him.
Was he referring to you?
Partly. But his mother was a prostitute, and the man who financed his expedition was a pornographer.
Where did he go?
Hard to say. He believed there was a tunnel underneath this building that would take him to California without any interference from the NCR.
So he just left you here?
He gave me a new password in case I changed my mind, but what he's looking for is farther west. I hope what I'm looking for is here.
May I have the password?
I don't see why not. He was more concerned about something down there getting up here than he was about somebody following him.
What are you looking for?
What are any of us looking for?
I'm just looking to satisfy my curiosity.
I can relate to that. Knowledge is power.
So anyway, about what you're looking for.
I want to know who killed Fresca Koi.
Fresca Koi? Who was she?
She lived before the Great War. She was a B-list porn star who became top director in the business.
Seriously? Your big quest is to find out who killed a pre-war porn celebrity?
It was just idle curiosity until we found this place. But while we were searching for the tunnel, an entry on this terminal changed all that. Now I believe the answer can be found, somewhere here in New Vegas.
Why is it so important to you?
I'm not sure, but I have to know.
What makes you think the answer is here?
She died in Vegas. Her death was supposedly an accident, but a news story on this terminal says the case was reopened right before the war started.
I hate to tell you, but fingerprints don't last that long.
I'm aware of that, but the police would have had a file. It says here the investigation was run by the Nevada Highway Patrol Clark County office.
So go take a look.
I have no idea where it is, and even if I did, there's a whole archive of pre-war adult entertainment news here. A lot of it is about Fresca, and I'm not done sifting it for clues.
Let's say I can find it. Would there be a reward?
Some people say knowledge is its own reward. Of course, most of them are poor. If you help me find the answer, you won't be disappointed.
I'll check it out.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll find something useful.
I had some more questions about the man you came here with.
This is starting to seem like an obsession.
Anything else you can tell me about him?
No, he's really not that interesting. Very competent, but not much imagination.
Who's your big friend?
You are looking at the finest piece of meat the wasteland ever produced. It's devastating and utterly without fear or mercy on the field of battle. But the pinnacle of its ability, its most insidious and effective application, is weakening the resolve of captives and hostages.
Does he have a name?
We don't refer to it as him. It's called the Stag, and the horror your enemies will know when you unleash it is unsurpassed.
You sound like a slaver. Hilly said you're a prostitute.
I've been both. I'm currently neither.
You gave me a sales pitch. Are you selling him?
Perhaps. It's not a plaything for the wicked. It's not a disposable back to lift stone and steel. It's a weapon worthy of a tyrant.
I get it. How much?
You get it? Forgive me. You don't seem to understand the gravity of this purchase.
Yes, it will strike terror in the hearts of my enemies.
Excellent. The cost is 25,000 caps.
The current objective is to obtain the handler's services, and there are 3 ways to do that. The first way, which is always available, is to complete the quest Who Killed Fresca Koi, which we just got and will do eventually, but it takes a while. The second way is to take the Stag for a test drive, which means have sex with him. But true to what Hilly told us last week, it does massive damage, both hit points and crippling. I could probably survive it, but there's a cutscene. It's not explicit per se. I mean, there's no nudity. The player's just locked in position and repeatedly injured from behind with the usual screen shaking and pained grunts. If you're playing with a controller, it rumbles. None of which is anything you haven't experienced like a million times in the game. But in this context, it's just kind of disturbing. And if you don't have like at least 300 hit points or something, it will kill you. So if you survive, the handler is so impressed with your stamina that you can hire her immediately. But Courier Jeff is straight and not really a masochist, and I don't want to waste that many healing items to recover from it, so let's go with the third option. The handler presumably believes that anyone who can afford 25,000 caps to hire a bodyguard must be powerful enough to deserve her respect, and I can easily afford it, so let's do that. I have the caps. I want to buy him.
Then it's settled. We will serve you as you see fit.
We? Oh, hell no. Spooky chicks were not part of the deal.
You wouldn't buy a vertibird without a pilot to operate it and a mechanic to keep it flying at peak efficiency, would you? The Stag will only respond to me. I'll see that your instructions are carried out, Master.
Master, huh? Well, no one can truly master another. How you address me is your choice.
Your wisdom matches your prowess, Master.
Do you mean master in a spiritual or literal sense?
In my order, there is no difference. I serve as you see fit.
And I have instructions for the Stag.
I'll relay them immediately.
I have some gear for him.
I'll return anything it doesn't understand how to use.
And that's the real reason I wanted to hire them right away. I'm not offended by penises, but I am lazy. And giving him an outfit with pants saves me having to do the digital blur thing. I probably won't be taking them with me on a lot of missions, but he is a weapon worthy of a tyrant, so I wanted to give him something with good damage threshold. Okay, have him try that out.
Of course.
Yeah, a little more superhero than super freak, but that'll work. We're not done.
Yes?
Do you have a name other than the handler?
Yes, I'm called simply Handler, when context would make the handler cumbersome.
No, I mean a real name. Wait, was that a joke?
Humor is like the nature of the Buddha. To some it's everywhere, to others it's nowhere.
I don't know you that well, but there is zero chance you're a Buddhist.
Of course not, but I am a student of philosophy.
Right. Back to your name. Handler is a title. You must have a real name.
Probably, but I can't remember a time when I did.
I was looking for something handy, easy to remember. Hey, there you go. Handy.
A bit degrading. I like it.
Let's talk about the Stag.
Of course.
Does he, fornicate?
You're joking, right? The reproductive equipment is, as you can see, permanently erect. It could be a mutation, or just an insatiable desire to rape and maim. Possibly both.
Yeah, before I gave him pants, it was hard to miss. Do you ever have sex? With him, I mean?
I'm not so eager to join my ancestors, but I have carnal urges too, of course. Sometimes I pleasure myself while it exercises. Its yearning to inflict misery is like the thirst of a dying man. I imagine it quenching that thirst as I touch myself. Torn flesh, the sweet song of mortality wounded, the rapid, repetitive thrusting as blood and life ebb.
That's different. And that gets you off?
No, I only achieve orgasm when it actually performs the task I fantasize about. Self-restraint is the foundation of my order. It made being a slaver difficult, the innocence in the pen close enough to smell, to touch, and too valuable to waste. But the practice of restraint is unworthy unless difficult, so I bore the temptation.
Wow, that's some intense personal stuff, and you just put it right out there.
Other people's opinions are like rain on a sea, and those who would mock me have learned that when I am distraught, the stag becomes agitated.
And whether or not you took a test drive before hiring them, you can have sex with him whenever you want if you are so inclined. But I don't even want to think about that.
Yes, now you begin to comprehend its true value.
I have questions about using the stag effectively.
What would you like to know, Master?
Can he use weapons?
It isn't capable of understanding how to use firearms or energy weapons, at least not with any kind of accuracy. It can swing a club or a sword with incredible force, but it lacks the patience for perfectly timed parry and thrust. But its hands are magnificent and lethal. It can use anything that makes them even more deadly. It's quite fond of knuckle spikes.
I guess you'd ordinarily ask this before re-equipping him, but can he wear something else? Kilts are one thing, but his original outfit looked vulnerable.
It finds restrictive armor uncomfortable. It will wear it if ordered, but it can become distracted and unpredictable in combat. Obviously, it's incapable of operating advanced armor with powered mobility or other sophisticated augmentations.
And the rest of this is kind of... yeah, what the hell. Can he really screw someone to death?
Yes, that was once its customary reward for obedience. However, if the victim survives, it can't immediately recouple. Although its erection won't subside after ejaculation, hypersensitivity persists for several minutes. Likewise, it won't stick its hand in hot coal or jump off a cliff. No matter how earnestly it wants to obey, its animal instincts are too strong.
Can he torture people without killing them?
Of course. That's its purest, most perfected function. Years of training were required for it to recognize the threshold beyond which the internal injuries it inflicts become life-threatening.
Anything else I should know?
When it begins to rut, it's single-minded. When ordered to torture, it won't stop until the victim is on the brink of death. When ordered to kill, it won't stop until the victim is dead or it ejaculates, whichever comes first. While it's in the act, it's vulnerable. So it's inadvisable to initiate these actions on the battlefield. And obviously, any place where bystanders witness murder or torture is likely to become a battlefield.
Now, despite what that implies, there's no option to have him torture or execute anyone. Maybe that feature was cut because it would have been too over the top, or maybe the dialogue is just to establish that they are not very nice people, but he's just an aggressive, easily frenzied killing machine who prefers hand-to-hand or melee weapons, but it's combat like any NPC. Got it. Thanks.
I tremble with anticipation at the suffering your enemies will know.
I have instructions for the stag.
I'll relay them immediately.
Let's talk about his tactics.
Unfortunately, it can't understand tactics in the sense that you mean. Stealth and subtlety are beyond it. When you initiate combat, or if you're attacked, it will crush anyone or anything that opposes you. Once it starts, I can't even call it to heal.
Let's talk about torture.
Oh yes, they'll pray for death. Their prayers won't be answered.
And the thing about signals makes me think there might have been cut content, but it doesn't matter which of these you pick. Enjoy torture too much to delegate. I'm a hands-on person. Your kink is your business, but he won't be raping anybody while I'm in charge. Got it?
A pity. Our fevered loins await the next victim.
Enough about the Stag?
Consider it done.
I have instructions for you.
Yes?
I just want them to stay here and protect the saloon, but I don't see an option. Oh, right. Yeah, this is very unusual for companions. Usually when you hire somebody, vanilla companions or from mods, they start following you immediately, but she doesn't. She starts in the hang around HQ mode. Don't know why, but in this case it's actually what I want, so that's all for now.
Of course, I serve as you see fit.
This terminal has a lot of lore that fills you in on some of the backstory you might have missed if you didn't play Quo Vadis, and many clues that are relevant to the investigation, as you might expect from her interest in it. Some of it is a more coherent version of what Hilly tells you about the Luma screens, lollipops, Larry Slater, and all that, which kind of implies a bit surprisingly that Hilly can read. Some of them are excerpts from an autobiography that Fresca's girlfriend was getting ready to publish sometime after Fresca died. Getting ready to print advanced copies of Bruni's book, thought you'd want a sneak peek because she dishes the dirt on a couple of your favorite people. Obviously, do not forward this to anyone or it's both our asses. Chris Henning, General Manager, Lollipops Print Services. Chris was apparently friends with the manager here because there are several emails between them. The book says Fresca's death was ruled an accidental overdose, which you can discover from other sources, but also that some people thought it was a suicide. Bruni thought there was foul play and was using the book to pressure the police into reopening the investigation. Another one from Chris. Did you see Sam's email? What a joke. Stock's down 30, no bottom in sight. I love the boss, but he's screwed. Feds don't scream treason unless they can prove it. Which is probably why everybody thinks Larry was executed. I put in my 2 weeks' notice, got a gig over at Cat's Paw, which is a canon porno magazine. So anybody that complains Coito Ergo Sum and Quo Vadis somehow pervert Fallout hasn't played much Fallout. There are prostitutes in just about every game, and in Fallout 2, you can become a porn star with your own stage name and star in movies with some of the greatest porn parody names ever, like Great Balls for Hire. The HoloVid reviews describe some movies Fresca was in, some she directed, some she had nothing to do with, but were made by people she knew. You can get their names from the Luma screens or the posters upstairs as well, but the reviews give you some ideas about possible motives. We'll see this later, but the way it works is when you learn the name of somebody who might have been involved, it unlocks a whole branch of dialogue with Handy to accuse that suspect. And the clues that give you possible motives unlock different theories why they did it within those branches. Fresca's obituary from February 2077 says, the industry is still mourning the loss of renowned actress and director Fresca Koi, who was found dead in a Las Vegas hotel room from an apparent drug overdose last month. Lollipop's president Larry Slater lamented, the void left by Fresca's passing cannot be filled. She was intelligent, innovative, and irreplaceable. Adult film legend Dom Atomic reminisced she was one of us. If the script said she banged a dude, she banged a dude. So when she was behind the camera, we gave 110%. I wouldn't have done that scene with Andy in Day Off for anybody else, but I'm glad I did because I got a pervy for it. Dom wasn't alone. Vault Boy's Day Off won 7 Pervy Awards, including the first of Koi's 4 wins as Best Director. Pervies are kind of like the porn version of Oscars. Confidants say Koi was unfazed by the disappointing rental numbers and lukewarm critical reception to her final film 19th Hole, but was devastated by the vehement reaction among the femlib crowd. Longtime companion Brunhilde Van Dyke said, it didn't make sense. Here's a woman who made it to the top of a male-dominated field, whose work had universal appeal across boundaries of gender, race, and sexual orientation, who outsold the misogynistic crap they should have been bitching about 10 to 1. She should have been their role model, but instead they crucified her as a gender traitor. So that one probably has the most clues of any single entry on this terminal. However, Handy is intelligent, and if all the necessary clues to solve the case were here, she would have already solved it. In fact, it's actually easier if you don't read anything in this office, because there are alternate sources for any of the important clues that you can get here, and the missing clues are elsewhere, so reading the terminal or these Luma screens basically just gives you a bunch of red herrings that clutter up the accusation dialogue. On the other hand, all of her dialogue is pretty interesting, so if you wanted to make wild accusations even if you know they're wrong just to hear what she has to say, I wouldn't blame you. Anyway, as Handy already told us, the clues we actually need to advance the quest are at the Nevada Highway Patrol Clark County office, which is the building down by the Mojave Outpost. Everyone who's played New Vegas is probably familiar with it, so we'll just head there. So the desk has 4 wiretap tapes that we'll listen to in a minute, and the terminal has 4 emails, all of which we need to read to advance the quest. First one is from a Detective Rios to a Detective Midori. Midori says, "Remind me why we're doing this? Alcoholic, career on the skids, 500 to 1, it's exactly what it looks like." Rios replies, "Possible homicide needs to be, what, 50-50 before you investigate? If you haven't figured it out, this is your make-or-break case. The victim's girlfriend found inconsistencies in the Las Vegas PD report. You prove it's right or wrong before she goes public, then you're promotable. Shrug your shoulders and rubber stamp it, you'll still be looking at chalk outlines of drunk drivers when you retire. If you need me to do any legwork here in Nye, just let me know." Next one is from a doctor that Detective Midori asked for a second opinion on Fresca's original autopsy. "Always a pleasure, Detective. Victim was female, mid to late 30s, no children, high as a kite when she died. Blood alcohol 0.12, prescription antidepressants in excess of prescription dosage, THC consistent with hashish or high-grade cannabis. The unknown opiate he found is a new designer euphoric. Scanners don't have a signature yet, but I recognize the structure. Taken separately, none of it's lethal, but how her nervous system reacted to the combination is anybody's guess. 10 to 1, he called it an overdose. One odd thing, you'd expect elevated endorphins in that condition, but hers are off the scale. They're usually associated with pleasure, but can also be produced as a pain response. When she died, she was either having a very good day or a very bad day." Another one from Rios. Midori says, "I think we're onto something. Copies of the retroactive wiretap are on their way over to you now. Couple persons of interest I want interviewed. Can you coordinate with LAPD?" Presumably a few days later, Rios replies, "Just got back with tapes of the LA person of interest interviews. Drive over, have a listen, and I'll buy you a cup of coffee." The fourth one you read advances the quest, no matter what order you read them in. Midori says, "Ran the IDs. One's a cheap fake, like a horny Midwest housewife might get, so hubby won't know she's naughty in Vegas. The other's a very good fake, passed background checks and airport security. And get this, 3 days later, suspect has an obituary in the Des Moines Register." Rios replies, "Nice work, Detective. I'll request some uniforms from Las Vegas PD to canvas hotels. Meantime, you go watch your kid's game. Drop off the tap and I'll pull the phone logs once I have a location." So, our next objective is to find the LAPD interview tapes at the Nye County office. I don't know if the objective to learn more about Fresca Koi and her associates can be completed. In previous playthroughs, I've checked out every terminal, Luma screen, holotape, dialogue with characters who have historical information about Fresca, lollipops, the detectives, everything I could think of, and it still stayed open until the end of the quest. But maybe there's a really obscure clue hidden someplace I never found. Anyway, Nye County is on the other side of these mountains, and there's no way over. Well, since I'm using invisible wall remover, there technically is, but even if you get over to where the map marker is, there's nothing there but unfinished low-res landscape. And as the quest pointer indicates, we need to go back to lollipops. I'm going to walk. Fast travel just kills your dehydration, hunger, and fatigue, much more so than actually walking the same distance. Plus, it'll give me a chance to play those wiretaps.
Andy? It's Fresca Koi.
Hello, Fresca. To what do I owe the pleasure?
I'm pitching a new movie soon, and I'd like to say a tentative interest from possible cast.
And why grace me with this wonderful news?
It's been a while, so I want to come back with something surefire. I'm thinking a sequel to Vol Boy's Day Off. I know, call me a whore.
Don't tempt me, darling.
Am I missing something?
You're asking me to appear in a rehash of the movie that ruined my career. Are you missing something?
Don't be such a drama queen. You want a pervy. Your paycheck was bigger than your last 5 movies combined.
You're right. My films are a footnote at best. I should be grateful to gather your manner.
So you had a slow spell. You're back.
And I have no intention of suffering another. That movie was my 19th hole. Mind, I have nothing but affection for Don. He's a wonderful man, and I enjoyed every minute we worked together. But you see, Mr. Testosterone did his first and only same-sex scene, and his popularity soared. A few of his fans were disgusted, and a few admired his open-mindedness, but most of them simply found it hilarious. My fans were universally deeply offended. They thought you played a tragic scene for laughs.
Andy, I swear to you, if people laughed at that scene, I failed as a director.
Quod erat demonstrandum.
Please, Andy. I can barely keep up with sarcasm. Latin is wasted on me.
Then let me spell it out real slow, American style. You send me a script in which Dom makes a pass at me, and I think he's a woman, and spunk in his mouth, and when I find out he's a man, I'm appalled and strut away without reciprocating. A script which prompts his fans to send him hate mail, and which my fans think is funny. You send me that script, and I'll consider it.
That was pretty good. How long have you been rehearsing it?
Bitch.
Only when I need to be. I'll send you a script, but Dom's not in the scene. I thought giving Farisa Chombo a ride might score you another pervy, if you can handle him.
You fucking bitch.
Now that one is spot on, old boy. Seriously, I'll send you a script. It's pretty rough, but you'll get the idea. And I give you my solemn word that I will not make you look like a hag this time. Gorgeous as you want. Do your hips still fit in that red dress?
I hope you swallow a bottle of happy pills and choke.
I love you too, Andy. I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Fresca? This is Jeremy Peterman. I don't know if you remember me, but we met...
Of course I remember you, Jeremy. Congratulations on the nomination.
Thanks. I heard you were in town. They say you're thinking about getting back into the biz.
I'm here to cheer for Bruni. But yeah, I'm putting some feelers out.
Look, it's not my place, but you should go mainstream. 19th Hole is like my favorite movie ever. But the future of porn is, well, it's what I do. No scripts, no sets, just real people getting the shit fucked out of them.
It's hot. I'm a fan, but I think there's room for both. Would you have liked 19th Hole as much without the sex? Because if I'd done it with one of the majors, there wouldn't be any.
Sure. Jump cut from Lita kneeling to Tom pushing the elevator button, and I'd read between the lines. Fuck, I'm an asshole. I'm giving Fresca Koi directing advice. Sorry. Anyway, that's not why I called. I was hoping maybe you could do me a favor.
My favors aren't worth as much as they used to be, Jeremy. But what can I do for you?
This place makes L.A. look like the Midwest. Chicks are begging me in the street to be in a movie. So I figure when in Rome, right? Anyway, this serious little hottie calls herself Claire Sin, asks why I only shoot hetero, and I have no answer. I mean, at first it was all about, I love big dicks, my boyfriend has a big dick, and then Farisa unzips it and I go, holy shit. But there's this whole audience I haven't tapped yet, and I need some stranger in the street to point it out to me. She's way interested, but not in guys. I'm thinking, who could break in an amateur with some pro-level Sappho shit? And when I mentioned you, she just about wet 'em. I guess she's...
Yes?
Sorry, I was rambling. What?
Yes. Breaking in a serious little hottie sounds like fun.
Yeah? Awesome! Fresca fucking Koi! Oh, man.
Where and when?
Just one more thing. I want you for this one. But if it takes off and you get back into directing, well, supply and demand, right? Think Bruni would be interested if there's enough to go around?
Oh yeah, she'd be perfect. Scare the bejesus out of him. But she's not here. She's still shooting. They wrapped today and she's catching the red-eye tonight.
And the awards are tomorrow. Well, no time like the present, right? I'll text you the address.
Sounds good. Do you need me to, bring anything?
Nope, I've got my Boy Scout bag. The classics, plus some crazy new shit. Most of these chicks party hard. Gotta be prepared, right?
Cool. I'll see you in, let's say, 2 hours?
Perfect.
Hey Sasha, it's Fresca. Putting together a possible cast list for a pitch. It's a sequel to Vault Boy's Day Off. Interested?
Why? Ginger is getting too old.
No, Ginger's back, but in this one, the lead role is her daughter. You'd be perfect.
Sasha is thinking... No.
Look, I love Mo, but he's a pain in the ass to work for, and he can't be paying you shit. If this is about your contract, I can get you out of it with one phone call. I know who faked your immigration documents and why.
Everybody is hearing rumor about Sasha's papers. It's so 5 years ago. Maybe it was mistake. Sasha is not reading English so good.
Sasha, I don't care about that. I'm just saying you don't have to worry about your exclusivity clause. Plus, I think you'll find working for me is a lot of fun.
It's not about contract. It's about style. You make movie, too much talk. Mo make movie. Sasha get what Sasha want, non-stop.
Okay, but you're passing up a ton of money and a chance for a pervy. If you change your mind, you know where to find me.
Sure thing. Kisses, babe.
Now, that rock slide does indeed completely block Route 160 between Mountain Springs and the Nevada Highway Patrol Station in Nye County. And how to get there was one of the frequently asked questions I answered in the old walkthrough. I used the cheat sheet, but now that I've had more time to think about it, there is a clue in the game that points you in the right direction. Handy told us that her mysterious friend was headed west, which is the direction we want to go, and she and Hilly both said he used a tunnel under Lollipops to continue his journey, presumably because he was blocked by the rock slide too. And yes, now that I say it, it sounds completely obvious, but believe me, I was not the only person that clue slipped right by the first time. And there's no reason to lock the door behind me, it's just kind of cool that there's really a way he could have done it.
Mo is Sasha. Fresca is wanting Sasha to make movie. Is knowing about papers. Is offering to tear contract.
What'd you tell her?
Is clerical error. No one here is knowing, and Sasha is not understanding what...
No, dipshit. What did you tell her about the movie?
Nate, of course. Not interested in lovey-dovey video. But, Mo, if Fresca is telling what is happening to Sasha, what is happening to Mo?
Calm down, babe. She won't tell anybody. If she does, her pal Larry takes the heat. We're just victims. Fuck, why won't that bitch do us all a favor and drink herself to death?
Mo is awful, but is making Sasha feel better. Kisses, babe.
Yeah, kisses.
So if you go the direction with lights, you don't have to stumble around in the dark, but it's just one loop, so you really can't get lost either way. And when you get far enough, you get a message. The tunnel continues west, pitch black, but apparently intact and uninhabited for a considerable distance. Now this takes about 4 hours. In normal mode, it doesn't matter, but in hardcore mode, that has all the effects you'd expect. I'm not fully hydrated, but I don't have any dehydration symptoms at the moment, so this is pretty safe. I'll probably have minor dehydration sickness by the time I get there, but yep. Even if there's no food or water where I'm going, I could still make it back. but there will be, so no worries. Oh, great. The studio's ready. Stuff always happens when I'm miles from home. Well, maybe there will be food, water, and someone who wants to be a model where we're going. But I'm going to call it a day, and we'll see what's at the end of the tunnel next week. See you then.